Divine favor is coming, God has moved. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I invite you to open your hearts and minds to a truth that is both simple and profound. Divine favor is coming, and God has already moved on your behalf. Many of us live our lives waiting for opportunity, waiting for blessing, waiting for things to fall into place. We look outward, hoping circumstances will change, people will act differently, or luck will finally arrive. But the truth I bring to you tonight is that favor does not wait for permission. It is already flowing toward you. God has moved, and his movement begins in the unseen. You see, most people are unaware that the life they experience is a direct reflection of what they hold within. Your imagination, your assumptions, your inner conversations, they are the very instruments through which God's favor reaches you. The moment you believe, the moment you assume the state of being already blessed, you align yourself with the invisible currents of divine movement. Favor does not come from struggle, it comes from recognition, from understanding, and from the unwavering assumption that what you desire is already yours. I want you to picture your life as it could be if you no longer waited. Imagine doors opening before you, opportunities arriving at the perfect time, people responding to you with kindness, support, and generosity. This is not fantasy. This is the natural outcome when you live in the awareness that God has moved on your behalf. The universe responds to the state of your consciousness, not to your complaints, doubts, or fears. And tonight, I will guide you to see that this movement is already in motion, even if your eyes have not yet witnessed it. Many of us are distracted by what appears to be delay or difficulty. We see closed doors, failed plans, and unfulfilled dreams, and we assume that God is silent or that the blessings are far away. But let me tell you, God's movement is never hindered by appearances. The evidence of divine favor is always present. It simply requires the perception to recognize it. The favor you seek is already woven into the fabric of your life. It is only awaiting your awareness, your faith, and your willingness to assume it fully. Tonight, as we embark on this journey together, I ask you to let go of resistance. Release the doubts, the worry, the insistence that you must understand the how or the when. Instead, embrace the truth that God has moved, and favor is already circulating toward you. Your role is to accept it, to live as if it is already yours, and to allow your inner vision to shape the reality that is now moving to meet you. Ladies and gentlemen, divine favor is not a distant hope. It is not a prize you must earn. It is a current flowing toward you even now. And when you align your inner world with this truth, miracles begin to happen, doors begin to open, and life begins to respond in ways that are effortless, abundant, and powerful. Tonight, I invite you to step into that awareness, to step into the reality of God's movement, and to feel the certainty that divine favor is already yours. God's favor is not a future event. It is not something you must chase, earn, or plead for. It is already yours. To understand this is to step into a profound realization. Everything God has prepared for you exists now, in the unseen. The very moment you assume the state of already having received his favor, you begin to live in a reality that is in perfect alignment with your desire. Many people believe that blessings, opportunities, and favor are dependent on external conditions, on timing, on people, on circumstances. This is the exact misunderstanding that keeps them in waiting and longing. Divine favor does not wait. It does not hesitate. It flows ceaselessly toward you the moment your consciousness allows it to be seen. You must understand that the world you see with your eyes is but a reflection of the world you hold within. Every circumstance, every event, every encounter is a mirror of your inner state. If you feel unworthy, unprepared, or doubtful, the world around you appears to confirm these beliefs. If you assume lack or delay, delay is what manifests. Conversely, when you embrace the truth that God's favor is already upon you, that truth is mirrored in your outer world. It is not about waiting for evidence. It is about creating evidence through your inner assumption. Consider the inner state of one who lives in divine favor. They walk with a quiet assurance. They do not scramble, fret, or attempt to control every outcome. They know that life itself is orchestrated by an intelligence far greater than their own. Opportunities seem to appear effortlessly. Doors open without resistance. People respond favorably, as if drawn by an invisible magnet. This is the living experience of God's favor. It is not the result of effort or struggle, but of consciousness. The world always reflects back the state of your inner mind. Favor cannot be earned externally because it already exists internally. You do not work for it, you live it. Your imagination is the sacred theater where this favor is first realized. Every night when you lie down to rest, and every moment when your mind is quiet, you have the opportunity to assume the state of having received all that God has moved toward you. See yourself already blessed. Feel the joy, the gratitude, and the satisfaction of your desires fulfilled. This is not pretending, it is aligning with truth. God's favor is a reality in the unseen, and the unseen is more real than the seen. By dwelling persistently in this awareness, you impress upon the world a reality that must manifest. Many resist this truth because they are attached to appearances. They look at their bank accounts, their job situation, or their relationships and assume that lack defines their life. This is the exact trap of the senses. The senses show only the present reflection of past assumptions, not the current reality of divine favor. God's favor has already been extended. It has already been moved into your life. Your job is to awaken to it. Your job is to assume in every fiber of your being that it is here, that it is yours, and that you are worthy to receive it. Think of a child who receives a gift not yet opened. The gift is theirs, fully prepared and waiting. Yet the child must believe it belongs to them and imagine the joy it will bring. In this imagining, they align with the reality of the gift. So it is with divine favor. You must assume the reality of the blessing as if it is already in your hands. Feel it, know it, act from it. The moment you do, your outer world begins to mirror this inner state. Circumstances shift, opportunities arise, and people respond, often in ways that defy logic. This is not coincidence, it is law. The world is full of examples of invisible favor working behind the scenes. A word spoken in private, a chance encounter on a street corner, a sudden insight that solves a long-standing problem. These are all manifestations of favor that was already moving, unnoticed by the eyes, but perfectly orchestrated. When you dwell in the awareness of God's favor, you begin to recognize these subtle miracles everywhere. What was once invisible becomes visible. What was once improbable becomes inevitable. You are no longer waiting for favor, you are living in it. You cannot hurry divine favor by anxious effort. In fact, striving often blocks the flow. Favor is like water. It finds its own course and seeks the path of least resistance. When you relax, when you cease forcing, when you assume the state of already having, favor moves swiftly to meet you. This is why gratitude and peace are indispensable. To live in assumption, to live in inner knowing, is to align yourself with the unstoppable current of divine grace. Your inner world creates your outer world, and the moment you take responsibility for this, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. Every thought, every feeling, every belief is a signal to the unseen intelligence that governs all life. If you dwell on lack, you send the message that you are still in need. If you dwell on fulfillment, on favor, on blessings already received, you activate the law that brings these into tangible form. Divine favor is not random, it is not arbitrary. It responds precisely to the consciousness that maintains it. Your imagination, therefore, is the most powerful tool in manifesting what God has already moved toward you. Many people limit favor by their own thinking. They say, I am not ready, or it will never happen for me, or I don't deserve this. These are self-imposed walls. Favor is impartial, perfect, and already given. All that is required is recognition and assumption. When you claim your blessing in consciousness, you allow the invisible hand of God to work through your life. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone. Every delay becomes a prelude to manifestation. Every person and circumstance aligns itself to your inner state. Let us speak plainly, divine favor is effortless. It does not require negotiation. It does not require manipulation. It does not require struggle. It requires alignment. To live as if you are already favored is to awaken to the invisible reality that moves perfectly, silently, and powerfully. You become a magnet to what is yours. You recognize opportunities the world passes by. You feel the presence of God guiding every step. And slowly, naturally, inevitably, the outer world conforms to this inner reality. You are not waiting for anything. You are not striving for something that is distant. Favor is not a reward. It is a state. It is not something that God will give in the future. It is something that God has already moved toward you, and it is available the moment you assume it. The key is to live as though you have already received, to act as though the blessings are here, and to think as though the doors are already open. This is the sacred art of assumption. It is the knowing, the inner certainty, the unwavering belief that what God has prepared for you exists now, in the unseen, waiting only for you to acknowledge it. When you fully embrace this principle, you will notice a profound change. The anxiety, the doubt, the struggle, they begin to fade. You move with confidence. People respond positively. Doors open effortlessly. The world begins to reflect your inner certainty. Favor is no longer a hope, it becomes an experience. You are living proof of what happens when consciousness aligns with divine movement. In truth, nothing can stop the favor that God has already moved into your life. You are in the current of grace, and it flows toward you in perfect order. The moment you assume it, the moment you live it, the moment you recognize it, you are no longer waiting, you are receiving. And in this state, miracles are not rare, they are natural. Life begins to reflect the invisible reality, and you become the living embodiment of divine favor. The world you see with your eyes is but a shadow of the world that exists within. Every event, every opportunity, every encounter in your life is first conceived in the invisible realm of your imagination. This invisible world, often overlooked and dismissed, is the theater where your destiny is first written. It is the power of inner vision, the conscious act of imagining your life as you wish it to be, that transforms the unseen into the seen. To live in the power of inner vision is to align yourself with the very movement of God, which is already at work in your life. Many people look outward, waiting for circumstances to change before they feel justified in claiming their desires. They wait for the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect timing. But this is the way of the senses, and the senses are always limited. They show you what has already occurred, not what is being conceived within you. True transformation does not come from reacting to the outer world. It comes from consciously imagining the inner world as complete, as abundant, as already fulfilled. The outer world always mirrors the inner. What you see around you is simply a reflection of what you have accepted in your mind. Your inner vision is the seed of all manifestation. Every great achievement, every blessing, every favor begins with an inner act of assumption. It is not enough to wish or hope. Wishing is passive, it is an acknowledgement of lack. Assumption is active, it is the living conviction that your desire already exists. When you assume, with feeling and vivid imagination, that your life is already filled with divine favor, you create a vibrational reality that the unseen intelligence of God responds to without hesitation. This is the law by which all life is brought into form. The outer follows the inner. To cultivate the power of inner vision, you must first quiet the chatter of the mind. The mind is often cluttered with doubts, fears, and old memories that contradict the reality you wish to create. These thoughts act as obstacles, blocking the flow of divine movement. The moment you let go of these intrusions and direct your consciousness deliberately toward the state you wish to experience, you open the door to miracles. Imagine with every detail the life you desire. Hear the sounds, feel the emotions, and see the images as though they are already present. Immerse yourself in the sensation of fulfillment, for feeling is the language of reality. The unseen realm is not bound by time or space. What you conceive in your imagination can manifest instantly or gradually, but it is never lost. Every mental act of assuming your desired state is stored in the eternal realm, ready to materialize in perfect timing. The secret, however, is persistence. The mind must dwell long enough in the reality of the fulfilled desire that it becomes your dominant consciousness. It is not enough to imagine briefly and then return to doubt or worry. The inner vision must become vivid, constant, and undeniable. Many fail to realize the importance of emotional conviction in imagination. Thoughts alone are not enough. You must feel the reality of your desire as though it were already accomplished. Feel the joy, the gratitude, and the excitement of the fulfilled state. This is the secret of manifestation. The outer world always reflects the intensity and fidelity of the inner state. When your inner vision is alive with feeling, it commands the unseen to respond. The universe is not blind, it obeys the vividness of your inner perception. It is also important to understand that obstacles in your outer life are not denials of your inner vision. They are reflections of lingering doubt or conflicting assumptions. If you imagine a life of abundance but simultaneously fear scarcity, the outer world will present circumstances that mirror this contradiction. The solution is not to struggle against external events, but to return to your inner vision with renewed clarity and faith. Persist in the assumption of the fulfilled state, regardless of what the senses report. God's movement is silent but unstoppable, and it responds faithfully to the unwavering focus of the inner mind. The imagination is not mere fantasy, it is a creative force. When you see yourself already living in the reality you desire, you are planting seeds in the eternal soil of consciousness. These seeds germinate in their own perfect time, bringing forth the harvest you have imagined. The inner vision must be clear, detailed, and lived in as if it is already true. See the people you wish to meet, the opportunities you wish to seize, the circumstances you wish to enjoy. Feel the gratitude for their arrival. In this state, the unseen begins to form a tangible response. Do not underestimate the power of mental rehearsal. Each night before sleep and each quiet moment during the day, dwell in your inner vision. Picture the exact circumstances, the exact people, and the exact feelings associated with your fulfilled desire. Live in this scene repeatedly, and you will notice that your outer life begins to shift. Events align, doors open, and people respond in ways that defy logic, but that perfectly mirror your inner state. This is not magic, it is the law of consciousness, the divine law by which all life is brought into form. Many struggle because they seek immediate proof of their inner vision. They look for visible results, and when these are delayed, they doubt their power. But the unseen is patient, and its timing is perfect. Your inner vision must dominate your awareness so completely that the outer world is no longer a measure of your belief. The fulfillment exists first in consciousness, and the outer world must adjust to reflect it. Your responsibility is not to force reality to conform, but to live persistently in the inner assumption of its perfection. The power of inner vision also transforms your sense of self. When you assume the state of already being blessed, already favored, and already successful, you no longer see yourself as lacking or incomplete. Your identity shifts from one of limitation to one of abundance. This shift is the key to sustaining the manifestation process. The universe responds not to weak desires or fleeting thoughts, but to the sustained, vivid, and living assumption of a complete reality. You are not asking for what is missing, you are acknowledging what already exists in the unseen. Consider the people in your life who seem effortlessly successful, joyful, and favored. Their secret is not external advantage, but mastery of inner vision. They have learned to dwell in the reality they desire, to see with the mind's eye what the senses cannot yet perceive. They move with assurance because they know the outer world must eventually reflect the inner truth. The power of inner vision is the tool by which God's movement is translated into tangible experience. It is the secret of all great achievements, all miraculous events, and all fulfilled desires. The unseen realm is rich, abundant, and limitless. When you cultivate your inner vision, you tap into this inexhaustible source of creativity and power. There is no scarcity, no failure, no limitation in the world of imagination. Every desire, every dream, every opportunity exists there in perfect form. The outer world is simply a mirror, reflecting the fidelity of your inner state. Persist in this vision, immerse yourself in the feeling of fulfillment, and watch as the invisible becomes visible in ways that will astonish you. Remember, your imagination is not a plaything. It is the sacred tool through which God's favor and abundance flow. When you see yourself already in possession of what you desire, you are activating the unseen intelligence that governs all life. Persist, feel, believe, and assume. The power of inner vision is the path to turning invisible favor into visible reality. By living in the state of already having, by seeing with the mind's eye and feeling with the heart, you align perfectly with the divine movement that is already working on your behalf. Resistance is the silent thief of blessing. It is subtle yet powerful. It resides in every doubt, every worry, every thought that contradicts the reality you wish to experience. It is the mental tension, the insistence on control, and the constant questioning of God's timing. Resistance keeps you bound to the illusions of limitation, preventing the full expression of divine favor that is already flowing toward you. To experience the fullness of God's movement in your life, you must learn to let go of all resistance and surrender completely to the inner knowing that what is yours has already been given. The first step in letting go is recognizing resistance where it lies in the mind. Every anxious thought, every fear, every complaint is a block. When you dwell on what you lack, you reinforce the illusion of lack. When you worry about how your desires will come to pass, you interrupt the flow of divine intelligence. Resistance is not always loud. Often it is quiet, persistent, and disguised as concern, responsibility, or careful planning. Yet it must be uprooted. God's favor moves unimpeded only when the mind is relaxed, the heart is open, and the imagination is allowed to dwell freely in the state of fulfillment. Understand that letting go does not mean passivity. It does not mean abandoning action or abandoning desire. It means abandoning struggle. It means relinquishing the insistence that you must see the path or force the outcome. Favor cannot coexist with agitation. The more you push, strive, and attempt to manipulate circumstances, the more you resist the natural flow of divine movement. True surrender is the active state of inner acceptance, a quiet, unshakable confidence that all is already taken care of. It is the calm assurance that God has moved and that your reality is already aligned with His plan. Many resist because they misunderstand the nature of faith. They think faith is hoping for a future event, praying for a desired result, or convincing themselves that something will happen. This is not faith, this is longing mixed with uncertainty. True faith is knowing. It is the inner certainty that the unseen is real, that what God has moved is already done, and that the outer world will inevitably reflect this inner truth. Resistance is doubt masquerading as practicality. Letting go of resistance means choosing certainty over uncertainty, knowing over hoping, and being over trying. To let go of resistance, you must cultivate a mental discipline that refuses to entertain thoughts contrary to your desired state. When doubt arises, acknowledge it, then return to the inner assumption that your desire is fulfilled. Do not argue with reality, do not debate the impossible, do not justify delay. The moment you embrace this practice consistently, you will notice a profound shift. Opportunities will appear, people will respond, and circumstances will align without the need for struggle or persuasion. Resistance is simply the misalignment of thought. When alignment returns, favor flows freely. Emotion plays a critical role in dissolving resistance. Your feelings are the language through which consciousness communicates with the unseen. Anxiety, fear, and worry are the markers of resistance. Joy, gratitude, and peace are the markers of surrender. To let go, you must consciously cultivate the emotions that correspond to fulfillment. Feel the satisfaction, the security, and the delight of your desires already realized. When your emotions align with your assumption, resistance cannot survive. It is replaced by the effortless flow of divine favor. Many people resist because they attempt to control the how and when of their desires. They insist that life must unfold according to their logic, their timetable, and their methods. This insistence is a form of resistance. God's movement is perfect, subtle, and beyond the grasp of human reasoning. The unseen works in ways that often appear mysterious or improbable to the senses. To resist this mystery is to resist the favor that is already moving toward you. Surrender is the conscious decision to trust the intelligence that has orchestrated your life with precision, even when the details remain invisible. It is also essential to release attachment to outcomes. Resistance is fueled by clinging to a particular result, a particular timing, or a particular method. When you attach yourself to a rigid idea of how blessings must arrive, you limit the infinite possibilities that divine intelligence can provide. Letting go does not mean you desire less, it means you desire intelligently, understanding that the universe often delivers more than your limited imagination can conceive. Flexibility and expectation is the hallmark of a mind free from resistance. One of the most effective ways to release resistance is through conscious relaxation. In moments of quiet, close your eyes and imagine your life exactly as you wish it to be. Feel the joy, the peace, and the satisfaction of having already received. Notice how your body softens, your breath deepens, and your mind quiets. In this state, resistance cannot exist. It dissolves naturally like mist in the morning sun. By practicing this daily, you train your mind to yield to the invisible currents of divine favor, allowing blessings to manifest effortlessly. Resistance also manifests in the form of negative self-talk. Thoughts like, I am not ready, I am not worthy, or it is impossible, are internal barriers that prevent favor from reaching you. These thoughts must be consciously replaced with the inner assumption of sufficiency, readiness, and inevitability. Speak to yourself with certainty. Imagine yourself as already in possession of the blessings you seek. By doing so, you create a magnetic field that draws circumstances in perfect alignment with your inner reality. Letting go of resistance requires trust in the unseen. The unseen is not absent, it is active, intelligent, and always working toward your highest good. When you surrender, you step into the rhythm of this divine movement. The universe responds not to struggle but to assumption. Favor flows to those who understand that all is already arranged, that all is already given, and that the outer world is simply catching up with the inner reality. Your resistance delays nothing in the universe. It only delays your recognition of what is already yours. Many resist because they mistake patience for passivity. They think that waiting quietly means doing nothing. But true patience is active. It is the conscious practice of dwelling in the fulfilled state, maintaining inner alignment, and refusing to engage with contrary appearances. The outer world may continue to show evidence of lack, but your inner world remains unshaken. This is the secret of manifesting effortlessly. The outer world cannot contradict the inner truth indefinitely. Surrender and persistence in assumption will inevitably bring the outer world into harmony with your inner vision. Finally, let go of resistance by forgiving past failures, perceived injustices, and disappointments. Resistance often hides behind resentment and bitterness. When you harbor these feelings, you erect walls that prevent the flow of favor. By forgiving, you remove the blocks, freeing the current of divine movement to reach you. Letting go is not denial, it is the conscious choice to align with what is already true. You do not fight the past, you rise above it, carrying only the awareness of the favor that has already been moved into your life. When resistance is released, life begins to flow effortlessly. Opportunities appear, connections are made, and circumstances arrange themselves with precision. You move with grace, acting from a state of inner certainty rather than fear or anxiety. The world around you mirrors the state of your mind. Resistance is replaced by ease. Doubt is replaced by faith. Struggle is replaced by the effortless reception of divine favor. This is the natural consequence of letting go, of surrendering fully, and of living as though God has already moved on your behalf. To let go of resistance is to enter the state of flow. It is to stop fighting life and start living life as a co-creator with God. It is to act from the assumption of fulfillment, to feel the joy of possession, and to release all attachment to timing, method, or outcome. In this state, nothing is impossible. Every desire, every blessing, every opportunity is drawn to you naturally, effortlessly, and inevitably. Resistance is gone, and divine favor has room to move freely. Recognition is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is the conscious awareness that what has already been moved into your life by God is present, even if not yet fully manifested to the senses. Many people miss favor because they fail to recognize it. Opportunities appear and vanish unnoticed, blessings arrive quietly and go unacknowledged, and miracles unfold subtly yet are overlooked. Recognition is the act of tuning your consciousness to perceive the fingerprints of God in everyday life. When you practice this, every moment becomes a confirmation of divine favor, and the world begins to reflect your inner awareness with astonishing clarity. Divine favor often arrives in ways that seem ordinary, almost mundane to the untrained eye. A timely conversation, a sudden insight, a minor coincidence. These are all signals of God's movement. To recognize them, you must cultivate a sensitive awareness, a conscious alertness to the signs that life is aligning in your favor. The world does not announce its miracles with fanfare. It works quietly, persistently, and invisibly. Those who succeed in life, who manifest effortlessly, are the ones who have learned to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to acknowledge the unseen work of God in every detail. Many fail to recognize divine favor because they are waiting for dramatic proof. They look for large, undeniable events, a windfall, a promotion, a miracle, and miss the countless small confirmations that occur daily. Recognition is not reserved for monumental moments. It is cultivated in the subtle, the fleeting, and the seemingly insignificant. A kind word, a helpful stranger, a door opening at precisely the right time. All of these are evidence that God has moved. By acknowledging them, you magnify their effect and signal your consciousness to attract even greater manifestations. The principle is simple: what you recognize, you multiply. Life responds to attention and awareness. When you actively seek the evidence of divine favor, you awaken a greater sensitivity to the invisible forces at work. Your consciousness becomes a lens that brings the unseen into focus. The small blessings you acknowledge today become the foundation for the larger blessings of tomorrow. In this way, recognition is not passive observation, it is active alignment. By seeing, feeling, and expressing gratitude for what is already present, you draw more of it into your life. Recognition also requires an understanding of timing. Many people fail to notice favor because they expect immediate results. They look at their outer circumstances and assume that lack or delay signals absence. Yet divine favor is often subtle, unfolding in perfect order, according to a timing that the mind cannot always predict. The key is to recognize the signs as they appear, to trust the current of divine movement, and to remain alert for confirmations, no matter how small or quiet they may seem. Patience combined with awareness is the essence of recognition. Gratitude is the natural companion of recognition. When you notice favor in your daily life, acknowledge it with sincere appreciation. Gratitude is a powerful signal to the universe that you are aware of the blessings already present. It deepens your connection to the invisible, amplifies your inner state, and attracts more circumstances that reflect the favor you recognize. In this way, gratitude and recognition work together as twin forces, harmonizing your consciousness with the divine current that is always moving on your behalf. The ability to recognize favor also transforms your perception of people. Every encounter becomes an opportunity to see the movement of God. The support, guidance, and assistance that others provide are often manifestations of unseen favor. By acknowledging and appreciating these contributions, you align yourself with a world that is abundant, responsive, and cooperative. Recognition transforms ordinary relationships into channels of divine flow, and every interaction becomes a confirmation of favor already at work. Recognition is also essential in moments of apparent difficulty. When circumstances seem challenging or obstacles appear, there is still favor at work behind the scenes. Often, what seems like delay or setback is the perfect setup for a greater blessing. By learning to recognize the hidden hand of God in adversity, you maintain alignment with your inner state of assurance. You begin to see that every event, every person, and every situation is orchestrated in perfect order to bring about your highest good. Recognition in the midst of challenge is a mark of faith, wisdom, and mastery of consciousness. Many fail to see favor because they are preoccupied with what they do not yet have. Their attention is consumed by absence rather than presence. Recognition requires a shift. Instead of focusing on lack, focus on evidence of what is already here. Even in small ways, the universe is constantly providing, arranging, and supporting. When you turn your awareness to these confirmations, you amplify their presence, reinforce the inner state of fulfillment, and create a magnetic field that draws additional blessings into your life. Practicing recognition also strengthens your inner vision. The more you notice and acknowledge the favor already present, the more vividly you can imagine larger blessings. Recognition and imagination work in harmony. When you see the evidence of God's movement in small matters, it fuels the assumption that larger manifestations are already in process. This creates a positive feedback loop. Inner vision informs recognition, and recognition reinforces inner vision, producing a continuous flow of favor that is impossible to ignore. It is also important to recognize the timing of recognition. Gratitude and acknowledgement should be immediate. When a favorable event occurs, respond without delay. Savor it, notice it, feel it, and express appreciation. The power of recognition is in the moment. Delayed acknowledgement diminishes its effect. By consciously observing and affirming favor as it appears, you ensure that your consciousness remains aligned with the flow of divine movement, and that the outer world continues to mirror the inner state of awareness. Recognition transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Life becomes a constant series of confirmations, reminders, and blessings. Every small occurrence is infused with meaning. Every coincidence is a signal of favor. Every person you meet may become a vehicle of divine assistance. When you maintain this awareness, you live in a state of constant affirmation. Your mind is no longer preoccupied with lack or limitation. It is attuned to the invisible patterns of abundance and opportunity that God has already set in motion. Furthermore, recognition deepens your faith. Each acknowledgement of favor strengthens your trust in the invisible workings of God. As you consistently see the evidence of His movement, doubt diminishes, fear dissipates, and your inner conviction grows. Faith is not blind, it is informed by observation. By recognizing favor in your daily life, you cultivate an experiential knowledge that God is always moving, always orchestrating, and always providing. This knowledge becomes the foundation for even greater manifestations. Recognition is not merely seeing, it is feeling. It is the internal acknowledgement of God's presence and movement in your life. When you feel the blessings, sense the flow of opportunities, and experience gratitude for even small victories, you reinforce the unseen reality of favor. This feeling bridges the gap between imagination and manifestation, making it impossible for the outer world to resist reflecting what your consciousness already knows. Finally, recognition is an art. It is a deliberate, conscious practice of seeing beyond appearances and perceiving the invisible patterns of divine favor in your life. The more skillfully you practice it, the more abundant your life becomes. Recognition trains your consciousness to notice, accept, and rejoice in the constant flow of God's blessings. It awakens you to the truth that life is never random, that nothing is wasted, and that divine favor is moving ceaselessly toward you, waiting only for your awareness to acknowledge it. By cultivating recognition in your daily life, you transform ordinary moments into sacred confirmations. You awaken to the subtle, the hidden, and the quiet manifestations of divine favor. You strengthen your inner vision, reinforce your faith, and create a consciousness that attracts greater abundance. Life becomes a mirror of your inner awareness, and every day becomes a series of affirmations that God has moved, and that favor is not only coming, it is already present. To live as the blessed is to fully embrace the consciousness of already being favored. Most people wait for circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel blessed. They believe that happiness, prosperity, or peace is contingent upon events outside their control. But the truth is that favor is not a distant reward, it is a state of consciousness. To live as the blessed is to assume, in every fiber of your being, that what God has moved toward you is already yours, and to act, think, and feel from that reality. This is the ultimate secret of manifestation. The outer world invariably reflects the inner state. Living as the blessed begins with assumption. Assumption is the conscious choice to inhabit the reality of fulfillment. It is not pretending, wishing, or hoping, it is knowing. You do not wait for proof before claiming the blessing. You claim the blessing first, in consciousness, and the proof follows naturally. Every act, word, and thought must flow from this state of inner possession. When you move, speak, and make decisions as someone who is already blessed, the world responds in kind. Favor is drawn to the person who recognizes it, not the person who chases it. The blessed live in a state of gratitude, not because life always appears perfect, but because they understand that perfection exists in the unseen. Gratitude is the recognition that all things, seen and unseen, are in divine order. It is the acknowledgement that life is orchestrated in your favor, whether or not your senses immediately confirm it. By cultivating gratitude, you align yourself with the current of favor that is already moving in your life. Gratitude is both the signal and the magnet. It signals to the universe that you are aware of blessings, and it magnetizes more to you. Living as the blessed also means walking with confidence. Confidence is the outer expression of inner assurance. When you know that divine favor is moving in your life, you carry yourself differently. You do not beg, plead, or strive to convince the world of your worth. You move with dignity, ease, and certainty. People respond to confidence because it is the reflection of an inner state that the outer world cannot deny. Your consciousness sets the stage, and your demeanor becomes the mirror that reflects the favor already within you. Another essential aspect of living as the blessed is the conscious choice to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. Many people are preoccupied with lack, always measuring what they do not have. The blessed person does not deny reality, but they choose to dwell on the reality that matters, the unseen abundance that God has already provided. By focusing on what is already given, they draw it into manifestation. Attention is creative. Whatever you place your focus upon is what life mirrors. To live as the blessed is to direct attention toward fulfillment, favor, and opportunity, ignoring the appearance of limitation. Living as the blessed also transforms your relationships. When you see yourself as favored and abundant, you naturally treat others from a place of generosity, understanding, and grace. Your interactions are no longer tainted by fear, jealousy, or competition. Instead, they reflect the inner assurance of someone who knows that life is already arranged for their highest good. This, in turn, attracts people who respond favorably, opportunities that align perfectly, and situations that reinforce your state of blessing. Favor is not only experienced internally, it is mirrored in every connection you make. The blessed person recognizes that setbacks, challenges, and obstacles are not contradictions of their favor. They are part of the process. They understand that divine intelligence works through all circumstances, orchestrating events with perfect precision. When difficulty arises, they do not panic, fret, or question their worth. They remain anchored in the assumption of blessing, confident that the outer world is catching up with the inner reality. Adversity becomes a canvas upon which the favor of God is revealed, and every challenge is transformed into an opportunity to affirm the state of being already blessed. Living as the blessed also requires consistency and imagination. Every day, the mind must dwell in the reality of fulfillment. This is not an occasional practice, it is a way of life. Visualize yourself succeeding, receiving, and enjoying the blessings that God has moved toward you. Feel the emotions associated with these experiences: joy, gratitude, peace, and satisfaction. This daily exercise strengthens the inner state of blessing, which the outer world cannot resist reflecting. The unseen responds not to fleeting thoughts but to persistent, vivid, and heartfelt assumptions. The blessed person also releases attachment to how blessings manifest. They do not demand a specific form, timing, or method. Instead, they trust the invisible intelligence that governs life, knowing that the outcome will exceed imagination. Attachment to rigid expectations is a form of limitation, and the blessed avoid it. By living with faith in the unseen, they allow God's favor to flow unhindered, often in ways that surpass any prior conception. Flexibility in expectation allows for greater alignment and a more effortless reception of blessings. Another key to living as the blessed is the use of words and speech. What you say is an expression of inner state. The blessed person speaks from the assumption of already having. They affirm abundance, opportunity, and favor in their words, conversations, and declarations. Speech is a powerful amplifier of inner consciousness. By speaking as someone already blessed, you impress your own mind and the world around you with the certainty of fulfillment. Your words become an instrument through which the inner state is projected outward, attracting circumstances that reflect the assumed reality. Living as the blessed is also evident in the choices you make. Every decision is informed by the inner knowing of favor. You no longer compromise, settle, or act from fear. You act with clarity, purpose, and confidence. Opportunities are evaluated not from the lens of scarcity but from the lens of abundance. This state of discernment ensures that every action, every effort, and every initiative aligns with the favor that has already been moved toward you. Your life becomes a harmonious reflection of inner blessing expressed externally. The blessed person does not seek validation from external sources. They understand that approval, recognition, and reward are byproducts of their inner state, not the cause of it. By living from consciousness, they generate conditions that naturally elicit respect, admiration, and cooperation from the world around them. Validation is no longer a necessity because the inner awareness of favor is sufficient. The outer world aligns with this inner state automatically, reflecting the reality of being already blessed. To live as the blessed is to embrace the invisible with unwavering faith. The outer world is a mirror, and when you dwell in the inner reality of favor, it cannot help but reflect that reality. Every step you take, every thought you entertain, every emotion you cultivate must be consistent with the state of blessing. This consistency transforms life into a seamless experience of abundance, joy, and divine alignment. Nothing is lacking, nothing is denied, and nothing is withheld from the one who lives in the awareness of favor already received. The blessed person is also generous, not from obligation, but from recognition that giving and receiving are natural expressions of abundance. When you live in the awareness of already being blessed, generosity flows effortlessly. You are free to share, uplift, and support others because you know that the source of all favor is inexhaustible. By acting from this state, you create a world of reciprocity and grace, where blessings circulate freely and multiply in ways that sustain and enrich life for yourself and others. Finally, living as the blessed is a state of inner peace. The mind is no longer troubled by doubt, worry, or uncertainty. The heart is not burdened by fear, scarcity, or anxiety. Every moment is infused with the quiet assurance that God has moved, that favor is flowing, and that life is perfectly orchestrated. This peace is not dependent on circumstances. It is born from inner recognition. When you live in this state consistently, your life becomes a testimony of divine favor, a living demonstration that what is assumed in consciousness is inevitably realized in reality. By assuming the state of already being blessed, by feeling, thinking, and acting from this state, you align completely with the current of divine movement. Life becomes effortless, joyful, and abundant. Opportunities present themselves without struggle, people respond favorably, and circumstances arrange themselves in perfect harmony with your inner awareness. You become a living proof that favor is not earned, it is assumed, it is not sought, it is recognized, it is not delayed, it is already present. Living as the blessed is the ultimate mastery of consciousness and the most direct path to manifesting every desire that God has already moved toward you.